My name is Lateefah Simon, and I've been doing organizing in this community for 30 years here in Oakland and in San Francisco, predominantly working with young people who have been forgotten by many of the systems that were supposed to protect them. I spent a majority of my career working in prisons and jails and juvenile halls, but that's not why I'm here today. It was only in 1942 that the Navy reluctantly let in men with black skin, reluctantly, knowing that they needed more bodies and more time. One of those men was my grandfather, who some of you may know. He's now, with his Jesus, Bunny Simon. Bunny Simon came to the Bay Area and was known as someone who brought jazz and culture to the Fillmore in West Oakland. He opened 8 nightclubs, bringing the Chitlin circuit to the Bay. But what folks around him knew him as a survivor of Port Chicago. There were 390 men, a majority of them black men, sent after the explosion to clean the bodies, the shrapnel, the ammunition. And Bunny Simon, my grandfather, was one of those men, and he was deeply injured. So much so that he had an honorable discharge and made his way to the Fillmore. On his last days of his life, with grandchildren around him, right in the hospital over in Marin, as we held his hand, he, for the first time in my life, told the stories of the carnage. And what it reminds me here today as we celebrate or commemorate those moments, isn't it true that in this country, in this city, in this community, we always send folks with the most to lose to clean up the mess of bad men? Men make decisions and boys die. And in those times, clearly, young men and women, nursemaids, black nursemaids, were serving the United States of America, because even during a time of deep degradation and lynching, literally men who looked like my daddy and my granddaddy weren't considered to be at all human, but they put on those uniforms with the understanding that justice was promised to them. So how dare we in this moment seed patriotism to people who believe literally what was written by the Klan? No, this land collectively is ours as we give it grace. How dare we seed passion and love and spirituality to those folks? We're not supposed to be political today, but the personal is political. And as this man takes this nomination tonight, I say to us, we remember our grandfathers who deeply understood as they built buildings and dug ditches. They were never given the respect that they deserved as they fought and died from this country. My grandfather lived literally decades after the savagery of Port Chicago, but the savagery of war lived in his DNA. The epigenetics, the reality of that war, of that segregation, of degradation, lives within his great-grandchildren, my children. Let's celebrate and also acknowledge that we can do things very differently. As folks who are embedded in a passion and a love for country and for God, we can, as my mentors, Barbara Lee and Ron Dellums, consistently abide by what we know is the most powerful when we are in trouble: the acknowledgement of peace. In the letter from both the Birmingham jail and Martin Luther King's, it's beautiful. It wasn't a letter, it was more like a poem. When he disavowed the Vietnam War, he asked us to shine a light on those who are evil and not participate in the activities of the folks that we deem evil. That peace really is truly the way. That said, the men and women who strap up every single day with a flag on their chest, we still honor. We honor this understanding and this idea that they too believe the words entrenched on the Statue of Liberty, that deep promise that folks seeking asylum, those who are hungry, those who have been persecuted, have a place here. For those of you all who have descendants of Port Chicago and the Vietnam War, frankly the Civil War, and I can go on, in Iraq and Afghanistan, we honor their understanding that them themselves believed in freedom. And we believe, I believe, that until we get there, we cannot rest. It was in 1968 when researchers from Cal Berkeley looked at the covenants of places like Rockridge and like Piedmont, where Black folks and Asian Americans and Latinos couldn't live. We're not free yet. We got a lot of work to do. So I'm so thankful to our elders who continue to pass on this knowledge and this favor to us. We owe you with all that we are until our schools are amazing and equipped with nurses instead of police officers, right? Until our hospitals literally bring in folks and ask them what they need from A to Z, and there is no fee when they leave, to young boys who don't have to strap up and fight wars of men who don't see that they are indeed human. We are not free until law enforcement looks like the people that they are patrolling. We are not free until our teachers look like the babies that they are educating. We got a long way to go, but the hope in the North Star is that within our collective lifetimes, we will get there. We have no choice. I'm so honored to be here today as a descendant of someone who literally gave so much of their life to the memory of the men that they helped to put in body bags on that horrific day. I'm so proud of my grandfather. I'm so proud of those men. I'm so proud of the fact that we together collectively as people of color have staked claim to what we know is true. There's no one coming to save us. It's us. We are the Calvary. Thank you guys so much for having me here today.